Welcome to the online Seedstars World Competition, the regional finals of Asia. My name is Giovanni Corradini, Community and Event Manager at Seedstars. We are about to discover the best startups in Asia. Stay with us to listen to the top startups pitching, learn more about women empowerment and gender equality in Asia from our amazing speakers at the panel discussion, and find out who will represent Asia at the global stage and compete for $500,000 in investment.
87% of women in Port Moresby City are physically harassed on public transport.
We enable instant underwriting from multiple lenders, multiple insurers using one set of universal APIs.
The platform is able to screen, diagnose, and manage conditions on its own and inform doctor for a better diagnosis and treatment.
We've doubled our team from 6 to 12 permanent team members. We doubled our revenue from $165,000 to $385,000, so it's actually more than double.
This episode wouldn't be possible without the support of our great partners, Vo and Presence Switzerland.
Innovation takes time.
It's challenging.
Frustrating. But often a thing of beauty. Innovation. We understand it takes ideas, dedication, vision.
Above all, it takes people, entrepreneurs who love to innovate.
Startups that love to make change. And companies who are not scared of taking risks or wonder what could be. Fostering innovation requires the right environment to flourish.
VA is one of Europe's leading innovation hubs with a vast number of growing industries. It's where Swiss quality of life, stability, diversity of skilled labor, talent, and academic research are all linked together to grow ideas
and innovate. Our ecosystem is rich with diversity, setting up endless possibilities between many different sectors. Health tech and life sciences,
food tech and nutrition, digital trust and cybersecurity,
aerospace and precision engineering,
AI and machine learning,
sport tech,
drones and robotics,
energy and environment technology, all converging to harness each other's high-tech strengths.
We act as a bridge between startups, corporates, investors, and entrepreneurs. We understand innovation takes connections, support, and financial incentives.
That it takes collaboration, talent, and the most advanced technologies to push ideas forward and bring them to market. That's why we promote, invest, connect, and grow innovation. Vo.
Now I want to welcome to the stage Anurag Malu, Head of Partnerships Asia Pacific at Seedstars, to share with you some insights about the region and the Seedstars World Competition this year.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, or good evening. I'm Anurag Malu speaking with you today. I lead Seedstars in Asia Pacific, and I'm going to share with you the ecosystem insights we got after the Seedstars World Asia competition in 2020-2021. Thank you for joining. Asia Pacific has been definitely impacted by COVID-19, but we are still active, right? And with an online format of the competition, we were able to become stronger than ever. We sourced startups virtually at every stage, local stage to regional stage to global stage. All the startups were sourced virtually. Entrepreneurs from all over the country, different countries in the region, could apply to the competition without a need to fly into a specific place. And 4,700 plus startups applied globally. Access to training was provided to the startups where they participated in an online Seedstars Academy and then an investment readiness program for the local winners. And then better matchmaking with the mentors and investors. So no need to fly anyone in. Right now, we are at the regional stage where we have top 20 best startups presenting today in front of you that were selected out of 94 local winners competing for the global winner and get up to US dollars, 500,000. So pretty excited. And in Asia, we are working with startups from 19 ecosystems that are going online, and it has its own benefits, right? And especially for the startups in our region, whether it's coming from Southeast Asia, South Asia, or Pacific Islands. But what about the entrepreneurs, right? If you look at this current trend, COVID-19 actually provided opportunity for almost 30% of the entrepreneurs after the survey that was done through the Seedstars World Competition 2020. Especially in certain sectors, the opportunities rose that had to adapt to the pandemic, where COVID-19 had an impact on many, many sectors, and some of those managed to benefit, such as health and education, as those are the ones which needed the innovations. And entrepreneurs are, in a true entrepreneurial style, are seizing these opportunities. Looking into SSW applications in 2020, 2021, for Asia, we saw that the most trending industries are health, education, retail, and tech. And at the same time, the entrepreneurs are also tackling critical sustainable development goals. And the top 5 SDG goals are for 2020 among our pipeline were: first, the SDG 8, decent work and economic growth; SDG 17, partnerships to achieve the goals; SDG 3, good health and well-being; SDG 11, sustainable cities and communities; and SDG 5, gender equity. I would also say, I think SDG 13 in climate action has also been a very important one. We also noticed that the lower risk businesses models remain the most popular among entrepreneurs. B2B and B2B2C models account for about 60% of the models, which is what we would expect, as they are slightly lower risk business models because they are less trend based. They are more rational decision makers. Businesses are more rational decision makers than consumers. And recurring revenue were clearly a priority. Recurring revenue models take the lead on the revenue model side, accounting for 44%, where subscription is 22.4%, and product plus subscription is 21.5%. Freemium, licensing, advertising, and on-demand don't have such a strong following, but that's unsurprising given the importance to monetize immediately in the emerging markets. That being said, we want to share with you some key startup challenges. 22% of these startups in the batch did not reach product or market fit or did not know how to confirm it. And 78% of the startups did not know their unit economics or were not sure of the calculations. And here we took a lead on filling that gap with the online content, where 419 startups from Asia got access to the online Seedstars Academy, where they learned more about customers, product and competitors, market pricing and unit economics, and fundraising. At the regional stage, today we enrolled the local winner to the investment readiness program that included live sessions of webinars, office hours, and domain group sessions. we were addressing the startup challenges, identifying in their applications, whether it's related to unit economics or ARR funnel, North Star metrics and their KPIs, or growth levelers to scale them faster. And of course, we also facilitated the mentor meetings. 58 mentor meetings were organized for entrepreneurs from Asia, and the top category of the request was in growth, followed by finance and strategy. And the average rating of the mentor meetings was 5 and 5. So thanks to the online format, we were able to leverage our global pool of mentors and experts and give entrepreneurs the access to over 1,000 plus experts worldwide from the Seedstars network. And all of these with the hope to enable startups to raise investments. It's a bit early to talk about the fundraising results as of now, as capital raised from this batch will only be measured in 6 months, as it takes time to close a funding round, as you all know. But we already made more than 590 outreach in a mission to connect entrepreneurs with international investors. So thank you for your attention and giving me an opportunity to present these ecosystem insights from Asia. Now back to the regional finals for Asia Pacific. I hope you will enjoy the show. Thank you, and I'll see you again.
Thanks for such a great overview, Anurag. Now it's time to move to the main part of today's event, the regional final of the Seedstars World Competition in Asia. Katja Freiwald, Regional Program Lead, We Empower Asia at the UN Women. Novita Young, Industry Advisory Board Member, IT and Engineering at Kaplan Singapore. Anurag Madhu, Head of Partnerships Asia Pacific at Seedstars.
Good evening, everyone. 87% of women in Port Moresby City are physically harassed on public transport. Safe and secure public transport are not affordable to the general public. Therefore, ODESH offers a safer, cheaper, and convenient taxi and chauffeur services to everyone in Port Moresby City. Over the last 12 months, 90% of our customers have been women and girls. Our business model is subscription-based on the B2C market and revenue sharing on B2B market. My name is Isaac Gypsy. I'm the founder and CEO of ODESH Limited. We have 2 unfair advantages. One is a product. The public transport booking platform is the first of its kind in PNG in the Pacific region. We don't compete with the existing taxi and chauffeur service providers, but we host and promote them so that their services can be improved and modernized. The second unfair advantage we have is the market and growth. We will be entering a long-term strategic partnership with Digicel, who is the largest mobile operator in the Pacific region. Initiatives under that partnership, one of them is zero-rating our apps. And then the second one is introduction of our apps to its 6 million active subscribers in PNG in the Pacific. And then there's a great opportunity for ODESH to scale into 13 countries in which Digicel operates. The summary results after the launch, last 12 months tractions, our taxi and chauffeur sign-up increased by 82%. Our total rides per day increased by 300%, and also total monthly gross revenue by 300% increase. Regarding the local market size, PNG has 10 million people, from which more than 2.5 million are active mobile phone users, from which 40% have smartphones. With the opportunity for long-term partnership with Digicel and also from our product diversification strategy, the opportunity looks very promising. I have a great team to drive the company forward. Myself, Isaac, and Gelda, we've resigned from our full-time corporate jobs last year to focus 100% on ODESH growth and expansion. I'm proud to have a great technical team led by Rohit, who ensures that our platform is maintained properly and function reliably for our customer. In the next 3 years, ODESH will be the next Uber in the Pacific region. Thank you very much.
Hi, good day. I'm Jared from Finology in Malaysia, and we are ASEAN's digital broking experts. In this day and age, getting a financial product should be a simple and seamless experience, except it isn't. Whether when deciding to buy a house or when searching for a suitable financial product online, we believe people should be able to know their loan eligibilities or get price quotations for an insurance policy at their point of need. But today, that is not possible. Underwriting decisions are hidden behind opaque processes and are accessible only via the services of a salesperson, if you think about it. But they aren't always available, and neither can these salespeople provide instant answers without first referring to internal underwriters. So why is it like this? A big part is because these banks and insurers are just anchored down by their archaic processes, which have been designed around outdated infrastructure. And in actual fact, these FSIs, they do desperately want to get in on the digital bandwagon. But the challenge faced by these FSIs to update their infra is really, really huge. And believe me, it frustrates them as much as it does consumers. So this is why FSIs love working with us. We make financial products readily accessible everywhere using our seamless and instant underwriting technology and our wide market reach. We make it that even large third-party digital platforms who maybe in the past have never distributed financial products, even they can get in on the game. And that is what makes us special. These third-party platforms, they love how easy it is to start offering financial products to their own user base. This is possible because we enable instant underwriting from multiple lenders, multiple insurers using one set of universal APIs. It means instant approvals, instant answers, instant access, even customized experiences. Our business model is that we get paid a percentage of each transaction and a tech enablement fee. In 2020, which is last year, we closed $1 million in revenues. So a little background about us. We started our journey in 2017. Today, we have a footprint in 5 emerging economies in Asia, Nepal being the latest one that we just signed this month. And we hope to have your support as we continue our journey to be the largest digital broker in ASEAN. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Sumit Khemani. I am from Smartfuture. We are actually a Singapore-based company in the space of telehealth. And obviously telehealth, as we all know, has been the most relevant solution in the COVID world, but the available options are not enough. Third-party telemedicine apps want doctors to send their existing patients to a third-party app where there are hundreds of other doctors. And as we know, 90% of doctors are not doing it. Many doctors, bigger clinic chains will have their own in-house team or may hire a software development company overseas, but the upfront costs are huge, ROI is not known, and the cost to actually maintain the app is huge as well. Some doctors, smaller clinics, may actually use WhatsApp or messaging apps to do telehealth in different forms, but they are obviously not scalable because they are not connected to existing systems. So there's a lot of data entry job, and there are also privacy issues with WhatsApp and other messaging apps. What we provide is actually a white label telehealth platform to doctors on subscription. What it includes is a custom made mobile app just for the doctor, for their patients to actually call the doctor. We provide a custom made web dashboard for doctors to log in and wait for users to call them, see their history, give out prescriptions. The platform can allow for patient scheduling in the future, let's say a time for physical or telehealth appointment. Documents are generated in doctor's letterhead. There's integration with all the popular EMR delivery and labs in Singapore and Malaysia already done, and they're available as plugins for doctor to use it. But it's not just video and audio calling that we are providing. Our main USP is that the platform that we provide connects wirelessly to a variety of medical devices, which we provide to doctors in the form of home kits, telemedicine kiosk, pods, which can be given by doctors to end users and corporate clients. So the diagnosis is smart diagnosis and telemedicine is smart telemedicine. The platform is able to screen, diagnose, and manage conditions on its own and inform doctor for a better diagnosis and treatment. The platform that we provide has a marketplace for doctors to sell their other products and services. There are also health content can be shared by doctor to patient, and there are also chronic disease programs inbuilt inside the platform. From tech point of view, please note the cloud payment gateway, everything is only for the client, and there's no linking of any kind of data or API across different clients. And that's very important as we go into other markets. We have a plan for every size of clinic, every size of hospital in the different countries we are in, from $200 a month to as high as to $3,000 a month for enterprises clients, which need a lot of integration and customization. 60% of our revenue comes from these plans. 40% comes from devices and marketplace sales, different marketplaces that we have made for the doctors. Our monthly revenue has grown a lot during COVID. Number of clients has grown. We were doing 56,000 in January last year. Now we are more than 180,000 per month. So obviously COVID has helped us.
My name is Sana Farouk and I'm the founder of ELN, the e-learning network. We deliver globally recognized vocational training, 100% online, and we want to help use this platform to help us launch into our AI-powered recruitment. And I'll tell you what our journey has been. So the vision for ELN is to democratize vocational education and empower the global workforce through globally accredited, free, accessible, immersive e-learning. And we want to join that with a powerful analytics-based recruitment matching, which currently does not really exist in the market, because I'll tell you a little bit about it in a little bit. Currently, what we do have is the education side of it. So we have 40 plus modules of our own content that ranges across 25 vocational qualifications, each of which leads to a recognized professional license in that field. And it's globally recognized, for example, by IOSH or Pearson EdExcel, or it maps to the government frameworks of 40 countries or more where we operate. The current sectors where we're operating is education and training and occupational health and safety. We have organic pull from 20 plus countries. Currently, I think it's 28, but obviously our main markets are UK. We are UK based, like our head office is based in the UK because we deliver kind of UK accredited courses. Just the education side alone aims at a 6 trillion global market by 2020, which has already gone past. So that's the evaluation by Whole on IQ. We have 12 permanent staff, so we're very, very lean. And without any funding, we are not externally funded. So we have been doubling our growth year on year since we began. And just to give you an idea, so Coursera's most popular course has a completion rate of 22%, but we have been maintaining a completion rate of over 85% simply because it's vocational and it's linked to these licenses which people actually need. We have a very strong team. Our C-level team, so that's myself, our CEO Salman, and our CTO Usman. We're all serial entrepreneurs for the last 8 to 10 years. 2 of us have had very successful exits, and between us we've had 7 startups. And I didn't have time or space to kind of mention it, but our management team is also really strong. Between them, they have 25 and more years of experience in companies like IBM, Shell, Nestle, and other FMCG markets. Oops. Okay, so we've done a lot, but I wanted to focus on specifically our achievements in 2020 because that has been a year when really it's been chaos around the world and a lot of people have actually struggled, but we've had some really great achievements. We've reduced our customer acquisition cost from $150 to $100. We've doubled our team from 6 to 12 permanent team members. We doubled our revenue from $165,000 to $385,000, so it's actually more than double. But what I'm really proud of is that while we did double our revenue, we actually increased our net profit margin from 5.6% in 2019 to 32.8% in 2020. And that's really important to us because obviously we're bootstrapping.
Many thanks to all the startups, and congrats again on making it up to this stage. We will announce the best startup from Asia that will advance to the grand finale in about 20 minutes. And now, it's time to start our panel discussion. It's my pleasure to welcome our dearest speakers to the stage to discuss women empowerment and gender equality in Asia. Shu Yin Tang, partner at Patamar Capital and co-founder and CEO at the Beacon Fund, based in Vietnam. Suhi Lakan, country program manager We Empower Asia at the UN Women, based in India. Chanikar Minh Wong, CEO of ItLab and previous winner of the Seedstars World Competition, based in Thailand. And my colleague, Doris Clements, Head of Partnership Southeast Asia, as a moderator.
Hello everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for this panel discussion on female entrepreneurship today. So as you mentioned already, women entrepreneurs do face quite a bit of a challenge, and basically all of them are worth tackling. But if we had to prioritize, or let's say pick just a few that are really important for us to tackle soon, the sooner the better, which are the challenges that you would choose that could support female entrepreneurs in the ecosystem and in their development the best?
Tough question. I need a minute to kind of digest that. I'll just like blast out what I think are the key challenges. Maybe prioritization will come along the way. I think being seen as like someone who's serious about what we do, and sometimes I've seen like female entrepreneurs pitching for their ideas about like sanitary like pads, and then like even one of the investor who's female was like, yeah, nobody funds femtech anymore. That's very discouraging, because honestly, like you don't know what the evolution of a startup would become, right? She might end up doing something along that line, but through encouragement, she could flourish. She could become one of the most driving entrepreneurs. You never know. And that goes the same with male as well, right? So I think being listened to without having that kind of judgment that this is like male stuff, this is female stuff, it's very important.
Maybe you want to pick up on what something that Min said, which I think resonated with me around this idea of really being, listened to. And I think for me, I realized this. I guess I thought of it a bit differently, but I think maybe it's the same kind of gem of true truth in there, which is to really maybe change what's valued sometimes, right? Because I think what's valued in the entrepreneurship scene right now, and I think this is in many ways the genesis of Beacon, our newest fund, is, I think what's out there is this idea of an entrepreneur as somebody who can, build $1 billion company, right? Really scale it, and raise a lot of money, et cetera, et cetera. But that's, if you step back a little bit, that's not actually what entrepreneurship is about, right? Necessarily, it doesn't have to be. Entrepreneurship could be about bringing, a much needed product, right, to a market that needs it. Obviously generating a great business model around that and growing, right? But we noticed a lot in the conversation, right, that what was valued was really this idea of, becoming a unicorn or like closing your Series D or something like this. And that's great, right? I think we should definitely celebrate those companies which are on those paths. But I think we should also recognize that there are many paths to entrepreneurial success. And I've always kind of felt, I also felt like uncomfortable when people would refer to certain businesses as, oh, that's just a lifestyle business, right? In a very, again, like quite a demeaning way, right? When I'm like, oh, it's a great business, right? It generates X million dollars of net profit every year and is actually meeting the needs of this group of particular people, right? Or this segment. That's an exciting business. So I think, again, as an investor, right, I think, looking beyond just this one path to being a successful entrepreneur and really recognizing that there's many ways to be successful, I think is one challenge. I think we need to change our mindsets, or I hope we can change our mindsets in that way. And it really just struck me as Mint was speaking. I think maybe the second challenge, just very quickly, is, I think obviously, I think we're still grappling with the effects of COVID. It's still very real, and I think that did exacerbate the funding gap in many ways, because I think in times of challenge, in times of risk, it's very easy to revert to what you know, right? And your familiar networks, your familiar crew, and I think in these environments, it is hard for, diverse or different, types of entrepreneurs to get funding and different business models, right? Tackling, challenges which people might not perceive as the norm. So that's just a few quick thoughts on that.
Thank you. And I will pick exactly from where you left, Shirin, is also the reflecting on the current environment, which is pandemic, right? We know that both businesses by women and men have been affected, right? But there are certain disadvantages that women face being women, such as, lack of access to collateral or lack of access to markets, financial capitals, including land and property, but also access to networks, as Mint very rightly pointed out. These create additional barriers for women. And we did one survey with really 105 women entrepreneurs to really see that how COVID-19 has impacted, women-led businesses. And we found that, of course, there is a greater need of working capital at this point of time. But what they are grappling with is really the dual responsibility of managing house as well as their business, but also the lack of access to mentorship and network. Now, the thing is that the network, as Mint rightly pointed out, and this was really prioritized. Even they were not looking at working capital as much as they're looking at mentors and networks who are able to provide them, specific support to pivot, hear from them in a non-judgmental environment where they are comfortable to bounce back their ideas to the peer community. So that is what exactly they're looking at this point of time and facing challenges. And third thing which they are also looking is access to, of course, the markets. Because we know that the scenario of market has completely changed. A lot of businesses have now gone to e-commerce platforms, and of course, women's historical disadvantage of lack of access to digital assets or digital literacy have also impacted, the way men are handling, access to markets completely different as women are handling right now. So these are some of the challenges that women are really facing at this point of time. Women entrepreneurs are facing at this point of time.
Perfect, thank you. Yes, to summarize, I think access to mentors, access to network, and of course fundraising and access to finance has been mentioned quite a bit. So I would actually ask another question about the current investment landscape within the region and how you see the investment landscape. So either so either did you see any changes in the investment landscape over the last years, or how do you yourself experience the investment landscape in Southeast Asia at the moment?
Yeah, I guess I can begin here. So it's been really fascinating, right? I mean, to see, I think if we're talking about venture capital and private equity style investments, which I guess we are in this case, it's been really fascinating to see that kind of grow, right? From a very, small and negligible amount, back, say, 10 years ago. And I guess, this is where I maybe wear my Vietnam hat a little bit, right? You could literally count the number of venture capital firms on one hand, right? 8 to 10 years ago. Now it looks very, very different, right? So one could say that there's a lot of capital, flowing into this market. I think there's more funds, being raised than ever before for Southeast Asia. There's more dry powder, so that is, unspent or uninvested capital, right, sitting around than ever before. And funding size, funding round sizes are getting larger, and I think you really do feel a significant difference in I guess investment volume, velocity, size than you might have seen 5-10 years ago. How did COVID affect this? Well, definitely I think early for say the first half of last year, investors did take a step back and really concentrate on their existing portfolios and really like turn the tap off making fresh investments for at least kind of up till Q2, Q3, right? As they were waiting to see what would really happen and play out. But I think to be honest, I was still surprised by how strong the venture capital and private equity market continued through 2020, and how robust valuations were by the same token. And what has this meant for women entrepreneurs? I think particularly. That's been an interesting thing, right? Because I think on the one hand, you see more capital than ever in at least our region, this part of the world in Southeast Asia, but we didn't actually see the funding gap closing, right? So I think that to the best of our knowledge and the data available, we didn't actually see that the funding gap was narrowing for female entrepreneurs, despite more capital being available than ever before. And it was ultimately this realization for us, which made us realize that what are we missing here, right? This doesn't seem to make either people are like very, very biased, right? Or and that is a challenge, right? But I think what we also realized was that venture capital and private equity is just one particular type of funding source, right? And entrepreneurs do actually need access to diverse sets of capital, which do not necessarily fit into the venture capital private equity wheelhouse. It could be forms of private debt, right? It could be new innovative financing mechanisms such as revenue-based financing. It could be short-term working capital loans. I mean, there's actually like many different funding sources needed to actually back a successful business. Yet I think a lot of the focus and conversation has been around venture capital and private equity. So I think looking at the investment landscape, I think it made us realize that there's a significant concentration in this area. How do we actually bring different sources, different types of funding to the table, right? And I think that's an interesting thing that I think not just we are working on, but I think other funds, other alternative lenders, alternative finance companies. It's interesting to see. I think still very early days, but it's great to see that there's beginning to be more options in the market, apart from raising your seed equity round and going from there, which I think is important to really close the funding gap from a capital access financing perspective.
I can pick up from where Shreen left. So I have something interesting to share. So in 2020 or rather 2019-2020, we conducted a survey in 7 We Empower Asia program countries, right? And as well as countries including EU. And what we found is that the 29% of women entrepreneurs faced gender-based discrimination in accessing finance. There were quotes from women entrepreneurs who said that, what the potential investor said, that you are too nice and this is not enough to run a company, right? So what we have also realized that there are non-important dimensions comes to play when it comes to funding women entrepreneurs, right? And that is something which we really need to work on. Now, what the good news is that 79% of investors also said that they wanted to learn to ensure that there is no discrimination and there is an equal opportunity when it comes to funding to women entrepreneurs. But the situation is that currently, if you would look at the Asia and emerging markets, women make up between 7 to 15% of senior investment professionals. Why does it matter? It matters because if research indicates that if there are limited number of women in senior investment roles, then there would be a gender imbalance in investment teams, which will influence the gender imbalance in portfolio companies as well. And so what I'm trying to say is that when it comes to gender lens investing, there is a critical need to make sure that women professionals are there in the management roles in investment companies to at least close the gap that Sheen just mentioned? Thank you.
Yeah, so do I need to add to that? I think both of them have said really amazing things already. I myself have been very lucky in getting kind of exposure to the network of potential investors. And but although, I've faced some challenges as well when talking to, so angel investors, that's the round that we got. And it was kind of like pre-seed round. When I was trying to raise seed, we kind of went to more like VCs and private equity type of investment. And I think maybe through introductions, we weren't really, there were cases when I felt that I haven't really explained my ideas, that I was, kind of didn't have that opportunity. But, I just try to not look at it that way and then just continue on because I've only seeing from my own perspective. I'm not like seeing from like kind of like a wider range of perspectives of what it's like in the whole entire landscape. But yeah, so definitely like I felt that there could potentially be more opportunities for me to talk to investors. And I think this, for one thing that's kind of unintentional, was that these events sometimes happen when I have to tend to my daughter. Like I have to I have to like take her to bed. I can't join like 7 p.m. meeting type of thing. And I don't think it was intentional. It's just like the whole thing was structured that way from I don't know when. But yeah, it was supposed to be like after work type of thing. When my after work, it's actually like 9 p.m. When she goes to bed already. Yeah, so that could be a challenge as well. So I'll just stop there for my part.
Mint, if I may, and I completely empathize what you are trying to say. Women unfortunately have to make a choice, between either this or that, which fortunately or unfortunately man doesn't have to do, right? So I know that this is really important, and perhaps these are some of the structural constraints that we need to address. This is something which is experienced by all women working professionals out there. So we really need to invest in trying to create those opportunities.
Okay, so now we've talked a lot about the challenges that women entrepreneurs face. So I would like to turn to the positive. And I would like to ask if you have seen some concrete initiatives, or you yourself are running some concrete initiative to support women entrepreneurs that you would like to mention now.
Yeah, so I try to make myself available to be I don't want to say mentor, but just as a friend for female entrepreneurs who wanted to vent out their emotions on like the, just running a company. How do I stand out there and inspire people in my company? How do I create vision? How do I face this like self-doubt that's within, but at the same time be able to like inspire others? How can I respond to comments that might not be very positive about starting my own company? Like why there's certain societal prejudice. I don't know, maybe I don't want to generalize, but maybe in some of the developing countries, that there are certain roles that females need to fulfill, and why you're doing this, causing burden to your husband, things like that. So I try to be there and be that support for my friends. Yeah, so I think to and then join like all these like amazing kind of networks of female entrepreneurs, female investors, and then contribute in any way that I can. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, to pick up what you said, yes, of course, man, we need a lot of role models, out there, because that enables confidence, and that enables hope in women out there to see that, okay, we can also do something. And of course, your idea of just supporting one more woman is excellent. If we all, make this promise to ourselves that we will go ahead and support one woman in any which way, just to give a lend, just to be there, listening and bouncing back ideas, I think that is really a space that we need to create. But what I would also like to share here at this platform is one of the interventions that we have undertook together with the Government of India and UNDP, something called Investor Consortium Platform. And I do hope, that the people out there would take hint from this idea and see if they can implement in their respective countries as well. So what we did is that we created a consortium of investors. They were, ranging from angel investors to venture capitalists and others as well. And the idea was that, sometimes what they say is that we do not have enough pipeline. There are not enough out there for us to invest in a critical mass, in a businesses that are viable. So what we did is that together with the We Empower platform of women's entrepreneurship platform of Niti Aayog, Government of India, we launched a call for application from women entrepreneurs to submit their solutions and business ideas, and then we matched them to the requirements of the investors. And we created cohorts of women whose ideas we found that are aligned to the requirement of investors. And then we undertook like 2 months of really training and capacity building of women. And you mentioned the fact that, you don't know sometimes how to approach an investor. Or a lot of women don't know how to make an effective pitch. Or really to say that how well articulated they are when they're presenting their business ideas. Also trying to focus on which aspect they should be focusing on, what should their projection like, and all that. So what we did is that we really invested in 2 months on their building their capacities and made them ready to pitch their ideas to investors, and really organized one-on-one meetings with the investors where women entrepreneurs were pitching their ideas to investors. So I think this is one thing which we did to really create that platform, because really no platforms exist where women are able to come forward, identify investors, and pitch their business ideas. So that is one intervention from We Empower Asia to really facilitate women's access to finance.
I mean, I think we're getting a little short on time, so let me just be super brief. And I think in terms of concrete, practical initiatives, I mean, this was a very interesting journey for us, and it started, I think, 4 years ago, and we literally took apart our entire investment process and thought about, okay, where might gender play a role here, right? And what are we going to do about it in a very practical, concrete, tangible way? And it's interesting. I mean, back to the previous discussion we had about, when are events scheduled, right? Is that an accessible time for people who have, caregiving responsibilities, et cetera? That was actually something that we discussed, right? So we were looking at our pipeline development phase, right? And we were, thinking, what are the events that we attend, right? What are the events that we host? What are the media outlets that we, that we communicate through? And are these, accessible to women entrepreneurs as well as male entrepreneurs. And so we did kind of a bit of an audit. I mean, that's maybe not the right word, but we did look at, how we were actually sourcing pipeline and really being more intentional about reaching a diverse set of entrepreneurs through that process. And, I think we also had to have a good hard look at, the way that we conducted our investment process, where unconscious bias might come in. And I think as the female, and I think it came up before, right? Even a female investor can have her own unconscious biases around, around investing in female entrepreneurs, right? So I think it did apply actually to everyone in our team, both the men and the women. And we had to really start that dialogue and begin to challenge each other, right? Are we describing this entrepreneur as, having, she's a bit, aggressive. Is that the right word, actually? I mean, would we describe it as different in a man? So I think going through that process and having those discussions as we conduct our due diligence processes, I think that was, I think it's hard to describe sometimes because it's not like a single moment and then everything was fixed. I think there's no magic wand you can wave here, I would have to say. But as an investor, it was really going through that process, and which we are still today, right? Of how do we actually craft, a more an investment process which promotes gender equality and remove some of these biases. So that's been our journey.
Many thanks to all the speakers. And now it's time to move back to the competition and hear the feedback from the jury members.
I have to say I was really positive about the idea and the proposition, because I think it's probably hitting a big need and a social need at the same time. So I don't think it's only a commercial need. It does have a very strong social element and social problem that he wants to solve with his company. I do feel he was very savvy on the level of partnerships. So I feel like looking at with who they are partnering, I think there's a strong element around this. I feel also there's a positive element on being probably a first mover in that market. So one of the things I wasn't entirely sure if his proposition is purely focused on women or just making this a core proposition but keeping it open for more. So I wasn't sure about if that would limit potentially maybe his market on zooming into this one core proposition. So I didn't entirely hear this, and I think one of the elements which I would have loved to see, that there would be an element on training or capacity building on something around getting more female drivers, because I just think that would be very strong to the proposition in itself and also to the social attention that he has. So I think that was a pity, but he's still early on in his journey. So also cannot kind of solve everything at the same time, right? So that's just a couple of comments from my side.
Yeah, I have to agree to whatever Katya says, right? It's really kind of like they are the trailblazer, I would say, in Papua New Guinea and probably the Pacific Island as well, and really good in partnerships. I think support from government, seems to be a passionate founder as well, Isaac, right? And again, they already have some tractions in the business as well. I would say the con is that ride-hailing is a very intense and competitive environments. There are already like global and regional giants. And if let's say they're looking at Australia and New Zealand, like Anurag would say, is that it's really, really tough, right? So I think it's just the fact that this is a very tough and competitive market to enter to. That's definitely the cons that I can think about. And they don't have a differentiations, right? I think the only thing that he mentioned is his cost is cheaper, which is actually, make it even harder, because it is making the company maybe less profitable with the kind of margin that this type of business would have. So those are my comments for this.
I think absolutely. Adding to what Katya and Navita has shared, very similar pros and cons. I think it's just I'm still not sure how fast they can scale to be successful in this kind of business. They need to have a large volume and fast plan for scaling up. Partnerships part is I really liked about his approach. Very strategic partnerships with Digicel and the governments, and I think he has some plan. But again, as you said, there's different priorities around getting more female drivers on board. Maybe not necessarily. Maybe it's too early for him at this point to bring that behavioral change in the society, and maybe do it at a later phase. I particularly like Finology, and I think for me, towards the end, the real story came out when he shared his story, why he really started. And, very personal problem, the conviction, why he wanted to work on solving problem around, the, loan industry and ensuring people have a hassle-free experience when they deal with banking and insurance leaders. So the key highlights, or pros, I would say, is the seamless, tech they have built for the onboarding of customers. Then their experience of building, these two companies in the past, Loan Street and Loan Plus, comes really, really handy in solving this current problem. They have learned over these years, being in the market, not someone just starting right away, have been out there, dealt with variety of challenges, variety of customers, partners, and have understood the problem so well to be able to refine, kind of pivot this business, to a stage where they were not making money with Loan Street for years, to have figured out a business model that works now and that is allowing them to scale. So that is so good by providing now white labeling, implementation solutions. And then at the same time, providing a little bit of tech consultancy, have already a great set of brands that are working with them, whether it's on the banking side or the insurance side, or, whether it's mortgage pre-approvals or lending. It's pretty sorted team. What I just felt is like they need money to scale. They're ready for it to grow.
I actually also like Finology. I think the pros, they have a very real needs. They really solve a need for the unbankable or the underserved customers. And the way they approach the target market, I think, is very thoughtful. They actually really pick a market, emerging market, where maybe less competitions for them. Not many fintech actually operating in those markets, except maybe for Indonesia, right? And so it's a clear competitive edge for the product as well. And they are very clear about where they can have more margin by his explanation, answering my questions. And I think the metrics, even though it's not like revenue based as yet, is more like other metric like partners, and how many mortgage base that they want to acquire. They do have some tractions on that, though it might need further validations on the con sides for their business model. That definitely scalable. So another pros, agree with Anu that they have quite a strong founding team with previous startup experience. If I look at their longer pitch deck, and obviously it's pretty personal for Jared as well. So typically we like to see where a startup has some personal relevancies when they started this, so they want to solve their own needs as well as other people's needs. So I think that's my summary for Finology.
Echo all of this from a business perspective, and sort of the way they have addressed a business need. I do have to say, for me, it is a big issue that not that they don't have not a diverse leadership team when it comes to the gender diversity, but I think that also translates into actually not unleashing an opportunity of the biggest underserved market in financial inclusion, which is women, and particularly solving that issue, I think, would be with a different perspective if they probably have a bigger diversity in sort of their team.
I quite like Smartfuture as well. I think they're quite neck to neck with Finology in terms of the level of tractions as a business that they're having. I would say definitely they're tackling a need. It's quite a big addressable market, and they do have a clear competitive edge with this hardware software combination. But again, this is also like he also kind of like, honestly say, it could be a big of a cons as well when you're combining hardware with software, because there's an interesting business model. It can be scalable, but also when you have hardware, then you get challenges in terms of, how would you distribute this in those other markets outside of your home-based markets, right? Then you have to deal with the distribution and the logistic capability when you want to scale to many other markets. So that's a bit of a cons there, but it is potentially interesting business model, and it's quite unique. Like he say, it's none of the existing player in this region actually have that combination. Then they do have a good traction, definitely, and they have also a solid founding team with a lot of technology background. Then again, the platform advantage on the white labeling, I think it's still a big question mark as well, whether someone else can come and kind of like replicate that and kind of like do something else, not combining with hardware, right? So those are the cons that I see, and also quite a lot of pros with Smartfuture.
I think I'll talk about cons quickly. It's very similar to what Navita said. Is scaling up a hardware-related business is so different from a software one, and the whole so I'm trying to see how will they balance it out. It'll be interesting to grow this kind of a business where you have almost 20 to 30% of so far the revenue coming through the hardware side of the business. And there's a time when you are scaling up, how do you the prioritization of which side of the business kind of takes over, whether it's the hardware side or the software side. Though he has mentioned, at this point, it'll be the first software layer that will be the top priority before they get into, the scaling up of the hardware, the pods and other things, kiosks that he highlighted. So yeah, I think that's the one part with, I think I'm not sure if I understand it very well, so can't really comment, but otherwise very impressed with what they have, the kind of growth they have seen in the, during the COVID times and in just last 1 year. And then team is really strong. Looking at, I think the team, they know what they're doing and have a great set of advisors and resources on hand. Yeah.
Maybe adding a bit to it. So I'm fully in agreement. I think he knows what he does, and I think he is in a market for the moment that's gonna see growth. So I think probably a bit of the benefit out of the current situation. I really do think that this is a market that will boom, and there's a lot of opportunity that he has not even touched upon in terms of public healthcare, etc. So I feel there is something, and he has grabbed the opportunity with probably a very small team when he was in the situation. So I think they probably also came by surprise, and I liked the way how he explained how they leveraged sort of the last 12 months into their advantage and built probably a strong pipeline. We didn't have a chance to ask, but the examples that he gave, I think, gave me the confidence that he is having a pipeline. Otherwise, his numbers probably would also not look like this. I also liked that he was very clear about, even so maybe Southeast Asia does not have the same growth potential as some other markets, but starting there where you are strong and where you feel you have the best expertise and team in place. So that focus on Southeast Asia, I also like that, and which gave me also a lot of confidence in terms of his team and the way how he spoke about his team. Sort of showed me that there is quite some expertise, as you have mentioned before, but definitely also sort of this staying on the ground and not saying we going there where maybe the biggest market is, but really nurture the market where there is a big opportunity and we have the biggest USP for the moment. And then in terms of partners, I also feel, and potentially also through his leadership team, but the partners that he has, seem to be quite impressive as well. So he's not on a kind of the early stage. He has quite a good pipeline of not only pipeline, but already partners and clients in his network. So that's another positive element. So yeah, I think very strong business.
Kudos, she's the solo woman founder here and the pitch for her. So that's also good. And I think she's a seasoned entrepreneur. So I think it's also a pros that I think she's been building businesses, and also her founding teams, quite strong, solid teams there. And they have, running the business and managed to improve the margin during COVID time, which is not easy. That's also quite a good operational skill from their team. I definitely see some tractions even during COVID and Brexit's a lot of uncertainty. So quite interesting growth that they have. Cons on this, I think I'm not quite sure, in terms of how different they are and also how scalable it is, because working one by one, with the accreditation for each of the market can be quite challenging when it comes to scalability. It could be interesting. And also if let's say they're really able to tackle that kind of accreditation framework challenge, then how many more trainers they need if let's say they really want to go beyond UAE and UK next, right? So I think I'm not quite convinced whether this is a model that can really be scalable outside of a few key markets.
I do find, starting with the positives, despite her being young in the business as well, and not being as sizable as some of the other ventures, but I think it's a very interesting business model again, and I think has potential to grow in different directions, also from what products to offer, as you rightly put, Novita. I found her very confident, and also the team that she described, I think, is a very they know what they are doing, and they are in a niche. I think it is a niche what they are operating in, which has a big potential if rightly done. But I can resonate with the challenges that you have just shared in terms of accreditation, particularly in Asian markets as well. From my experience here, it's very difficult to get alignment on accreditation, but it's something what is really needed and governments are looking for. So I really like also that they are, it's a pro and a con at the same time, that they have a strong focus on B2G, but I think that is also where a lot of the real accreditations are happening, and where they will get sort of that certification or accreditation in a way. So I think it's a bit of a pro and con for their business model. But I did like quite a lot is that I think she knows exactly what needs to be done. So her determination and knowing exactly what she is going to be doing with money, if she would get money, how to invest it in AI. I do think that is something, probably considering also the costs that you have on getting all these tutors and mentors. I think a lot of automatization will help to streamline the trainings more and make it more unbiased also, and really have to live in quality. What doesn't take away that she will need to have some physical or personal sort of interaction to tutors to make this an user experience that is desirable. But I do like her clear vision in terms of how she would invest that money. Anything else? Yeah, I think the diversification in terms of B2B is probably was a good set to sort of moving into that direction as well. Overall, I think a good business model, but has a risk element to it at this stage.
Overall, I really like, the founding team, very strong credibility, understanding of the sector where they are in, they know what they're doing, they have the background in this. Couple of things which I was still not clear is, I don't know, but I didn't get the clear answer on the visa related issues. I still didn't very well understood if someone from India or Pakistan is getting some vocational training done on their platform, will they be able to get a job in UAE or in UK? If yes, will they be able to also provide, like, I was not sure at this point, they are a training provider and eventually they want to become the recruitment provider. So which one will dominate, or if there's a business transition that's happening at the moment, or that will happen after the next funding round once they build the AI recruitment platform. And if they become a recruitment platform or recruitment provider, then things will change, especially how they will grow this business. Being a training company, you have a very different model, and once you become a recruitment provider, I think it'll be a different business model.
We are ready to announce the winner. The best startup from Asia who won the Seedstars World Competition in the region this year is Finology.
Thank you so much, Seedstars, for this opportunity and also for your choice as making us the winners of your Asia chapter. I have actually, incidentally, my partner here, Robin Ang, here together with me. We really couldn't have done it. It isn't Jared, it is really the whole team. Unfortunately, the whole team can't be here to hear the good news, but we'll definitely share it with them. We look forward to representing Asia, going forward into the finals. And hope to make a good showing of what we can do in Asia on the global stage.
Amazing. Thank you so much, and thank you all for being here with us, and stay tuned for the grand finale.